Hey there, TRASTRA fans. Last week was all about Binance and its co-founder Changpeng Zhao shaking hands with the U.S. Department of Justice and wrapping up some criminal and civil cases. In a plot twist worthy of a legal TV drama, CZ has agreed to plead guilty to a felony charge, stepping down as CEO and passing the torch to Richard Teng. The U.S. prosecutors are playing a high-stakes game of keep away with CZ, trying to prevent his return to the United Arab Emirates, where his supervillan lair is situated. The DOJ is worried that CZ might take a one-way ticket out of the States, citing his cozy status in the Emirates and the lack of an extradition treaty as red flags. In other news, heavy hitters like BlackRock and Nasdaq have been schmoozing with the SEC, discussing a shiny new Bitcoin ETF, but the agency is busy hounding Kraken, accusing the exchange of mixing customer funds and its own. Kraken, of course, begs to differ, saying it's just them spending their hard-earned fees. In yet another case of high-tech extortion, Swap Exchange is offering a bounty to a hacker who snagged $46 million worth of crypto from them. And in the not-so-happy ending department, the Bitcoin Lightning app wallet of Satoshi is exiting the United States market. The details are scarce, but the promise to someday return is there. So we'll see. Coinbase's stock is dancing a happy jig, hitting a high note not seen since May 2022, and MicroStrategy is swimming in Bitcoin gold, with their stock price soaring despite a hefty net loss in their recent report. Over in Montenegro, a court has greenlit the extradition of Terraform Labs co-founder Duguan. He's got his pick of destinations, either South Korea or the US, but first he's got to serve a 4-month sentence in Montenegro for document forging. ECB President Christine Lagarde's family saga continues as her son, ignoring mom's advice, dabbled in crypto, and, well, let's just say it didn't end well financially. Meanwhile, Glassnode is teasing us with dreams of a Bitcoin ETF, estimating a whopping $70 billion would flow into the market if one gets the green light. So, the Bank of Korea is calling all tech-savvy citizens to test out their digital currency, while Singapore tightens the reins on crypto trading, banning credit card purchases and flashy incentives. And for our final cut, a tale of Hollywood meets crypto. Carl Eric Rinsch, the once director of a non-existent Netflix series Conquest, played a real-life game of Monopoly with Netflix's money, turning it into a crypto fortune. But instead of a heartwarming comeback story, he went on a spending spree, fit for a king or lucky teenager. Netflix, well, they're not streaming happy endings in this one. Anyway, get comfy and enjoy the rest of episode 90 of your beloved TRASTRA Newsreel. Binance and its co-founder Changpeng Zhao have reached a settlement over criminal and civil cases with the United States Department of Justice. CZ will plead guilty to one felony charge as part of the negotiated agreement. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced a settlement claiming Binance's policies allowed criminals involved in illicit activities to move stolen funds through the exchange. As part of the settlement, CZ announced on Twitter on X that he had stepped down as CEO and that Binance's global head of regional markets, Richard Teng, will assume the position. CZ added he was proud to point out that U.S. officials didn't allege that Binance misappropriated funds or manipulated markets. CZ was released on bail, but the United States prosecutors are trying to stop him from leaving the country, expressing concern about his potential flight risk. The government requested a review and overturn of a judge's decision that would allow CZ to return to his home in the United Arab Emirates on a $157 million bond, under the condition that he returns to the U.S. 2 weeks before his February 2024 sentencing. In a proposed order, prosecutors wrote that Zhao presents an unacceptable risk of flight, arguing that his ties and favorite status in the Emirates, along with the country's lack of an extradition treaty with the U.S., are reasons to block him from leaving the country. Representatives from BlackRock and Nasdaq met with the SEC to discuss the proposed rule allowing the listing of a spot Bitcoin ETF. BlackRock provided a presentation detailing how the firm could use an in-kind or in-cash redemption model for its iShares Bitcoin Trust. Many reports have suggested the SEC could be nearing a decision on a spot Bitcoin ETF for a listing on U.S. markets. SEC officials also met with Grayscale representatives this week to discuss the listing of a Bitcoin ETF. The SEC sued Kraken Exchange, alleging it commingled customer funds and failed to register with the regulator as a securities exchange broker, dealer, and clearing agency. Additionally, the SEC alleged Kraken's business practices and deficient internal controls saw the exchange commingle up to $33 billion worth of customer assets with its own. The SEC said this resulted in a significant risk of loss for the exchange's clients. In a follow-up blog post, Kraken said the SEC's commingling accusations were no more than Kraken spending fees it has already earned, and the regulator doesn't allege any user funds are missing. In the world of DeFi, things are not as civil though. The decentralized exchange Kyber Swap, I guess they spell it with a K, but it's sort of means cyber. So Kyber Swap has offered to pay a 10% ransom. They call it bounty reward, but we all know what that is. To the hacker who stole $46 million worth of crypto on November 22nd and left a what's called a note of negotiation, so a ransom note, right? The exchange wants 90% of the loot returned. The hacker made away with roughly $20 million in rep ETH, $7 million in rep Lido stake ETH, and $4 million in Arbitrum tokens. The hacker then siphoned the loot across multiple chains, including Arbitrum, Optimism, Ethereum, Polygon, and Base. Bitcoin Lightning app, Wallet of Satoshi, has withdrawn from US Apple and Google stores, confirming it will not serve US customers going forward. The company did not specify reasons for its US market exit, but assured existing users in the country that their funds were accessible and could be withdrawn and transferred to another wallet. The company said the removal was its choice, and it was hopeful that future developments will allow us to revisit the possibility, possibly resume our operations in the US, end quote. Wallet of Satoshi is one of the most popular Bitcoin Lightning wallets and is projected to process more than a record 1 million Lightning Network payments in November. Given that Visa processes about 23 billion transactions a month, I would say this is not a major setback for the space. Still kind of sad. Anyway, Coinbase's stock price surged to its highest since May 2022 on Friday, reaching $116 a share and making a 50% increase since the start of the month. Despite the gains, Coinbase's stock remains significantly lower than its 2021 range of 220 to 350 a share, not fully recovering after a tumultuous 2022 for the crypto market. The stock rally coincides with the industry's anticipation of a spot Bitcoin ETF, what else, as the SEC shows engagement with potential issuers like Grayscale and BlackRock. We already talked about that, with Coinbase possibly used as a Bitcoin custodian. So Coinbase is going to make out, bend it there. MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor's company, is also doing quite well with its stock price surpassing $500 a share last Friday, market levels not seen since December 2021. It's now boasting a market cap of $7.33 billion due to its Bitcoin holdings, with an average purchase price of $29,803 per coin. MicroStrategy is way in the green. It possesses approximately 140,000 Bitcoins right now, valued at approximately $4.4 billion, and that's despite reporting a net loss of $114 million in its most recent quarterly report. So I don't know how those numbers work, but they do work. Montenegro court has approved the extradition of Terraform Labs co-founder Do Kwon to either South Korea or the US. Kwon has agreed to be extradited to South Korea, but Montenegro's Minister of Justice will now make the final decision on which country takes precedence, the court said. Kwon faces extradition on charges related to financial crimes in both countries, stemming from the collapse of the terror ecosystem in 2022, leading to substantial investor losses and a global search for him led by Interpol. However, Kwon must first serve a 4-month prison sentence in Montenegro for document forgery before any extradition takes place. European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde, a prominent critic of cryptocurrencies, recently disclosed that her own family experienced the unpredictable nature of digital assets. During the town hall meeting in Frankfurt, Lagarde revealed that her son disregarded her advice, and the boy's in his 30s, disregarded her advice and invested in crypto, resulting in substantial financial losses. Lagarde expressed her disappointment, acknowledging that her son had chosen to ignore her guidance and lost nearly all the money he had invested. She had previously disclosed her son's involvement in crypto markets, highlighting her unsuccessful attempts to dissuade him from participating. While Lagarde has 2 sons, both in their mid-30s, she did not specify which one was the crypto investor. According to a recent report by on-chain data firm Glassnode, there is significant unmet demand from investors for a spot Bitcoin ETF. Glassnode estimates that up to $70 billion in new capital could, keyword here is could, flow into the Bitcoin market after the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF. This projection is based on the assumption that 10% of money currently invested in major stock and bond ETFs would shift to a Bitcoin ETF, along with 5% of capital allocated to gold ETFs. The Central Bank of South Korea has announced plans to invite 100,000 Korean citizens to take part in a pilot program for its CBDC. The primary objective of this initiative is to assess the viability of effectiveness of the CBDC in real-world payment scenarios. The testing phase is scheduled to commence between September and October of 2024 and will span a duration of 3 months. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, the nation's central bank and financial regulator, announced strengthening of regulations geared towards safeguarding individuals and limiting their ability to engage in cryptocurrency trading, retail individuals, that is. The authority has finalized these measures following an extensive year-long public consultation and review process. Starting in mid-2024, the newly introduced rules will forbid cryptocurrency platforms, also known as digital payment token service providers, from accepting purchases made with locally issued credit cards. Additionally, incentives encouraging individuals to trade digital tokens, such as free trading credits or rewards, will be prohibited. And finally, Carl Eric Rinsch, the director of Netflix's sci-fi series Conquest. Don't bother searching it, it doesn't exist. Basically conned Netflix into giving him a shit ton of money to produce a sci-fi series for the network. He did do some work on the show, but at some point he began reinvesting the cash allocated for production in crypto and in Dogecoin of all coins. And what do you know? The lucky SOB made out like a bandit with $27 million profit on the initial $4 million investment. A real-life success story. But if you think he's compensated Netflix for the loss and used the money to revitalize the series, well, you're sadly mistaken. Rinsch spent approximately $9 million in luxury furniture, designer clothing, 380,000 Vacheron Constantin watch, 5 Rolls Royces, and a Ferrari. And if you think he's now in jail, well, wrong again. He's in what's called the confidential arbitration proceedings with Netflix, asserting that the streaming service breached their contract and actually owes him $14 million in damages. Anyway, there's a fascinating report on the whole story. It's kind of dry, but even with little effort, one can imagine the delicious sickness of the story, which kind of explains why most of what Netflix is buying these days is just pure shit. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this episode. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our TikTok. I've just added a brand new video there, so check that out, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.